Hi, welcome back, Carrie Waltz. This is my studio and I'm in the middle of a cleanup. It doesn't happen very often, but often between projects I decide, oh, I can't stand this anymore. I've got to clean it up. This morning I took my palette, that's my travel palette. It was just covered in paint. I had used it over and over and over again on the last probably 2 months. And decided there was too much dried gunky paint, that it had to go. And what's great about it, it fits in this sleeve. I'll slide it down here, show you, see if you can see. Let's see, I'm sitting on the floor, isn't that great? You push down, and then when you're pushing it down, it slides into place. Then it has a holder that it can go in the refrigerator or freezer and store your paints. Push down when you see, it won't just fall out, which I really like, and then push down when you want to get your paints out. It has this clip on the back, or a slit on the back, that will fit to another board. It actually comes with a small board, but I often just line it up and hook it to my palette, depending on where I am. But then when I pull it out, I have all the paints already out. And the great part is you just take your palette knife and pull off what you need and mix. This is your mixing palette. This is your pure color palette. So it's very helpful. My dilemma today is I have all of these colors. Aren't they beautiful? Oh yeah, they're too pretty. The trouble is I'm going to be going on a trip in a little over a month. In November, I'm going to go to a workshop. It's a plein air workshop. We're going to be working outside painting, and that's ideal why I want to take this. But what I've learned in the past is, one time I took some new paints, I'd put it on this, and I went out to paint, and I didn't have some of my colors that I was really comfortable with, and I hadn't practiced with what the colors that I'd put here. They were some just a group of wonderful paints that were given to me by a friend. But my struggle in getting ready for this next trip and learning from the last one is I need to be comfortable with the paints that are on my palette. If I'm going to get new colors to work with, I need to practice them before I go outside. Going outside is when you need to already be familiar with what's in front of you. So many times artists choose to use a limited palette when they paint plein air. I'm not very good with a limited palette. As you can see, my lovely array of colors, these are not even all of them, but I love a variety. I don't mind mixing colors, but when you're working plein air, mixing colors do take up time. So if I have a variety of colors on my palette, and I believe this holds about 28, which is way more than I normally would take plein air painting, but I'm going to try to work with 14 on this trip. The reason why is I have this lovely container that was given to me by a dear friend, and it rolls up. I don't know if they even sell them anymore, but that's the company that it came from, and it holds 14. So if I can limit my colors to 14, then I'll have this in the car to refill this palette. So when I put my 14 here and I practice working with those 14 in a variety of ways, then when I do get out and paint plein air, then I will be more ready. Now, another thing that I like about this palette is I could put my 14 up here, and then I could pre-mix some greens, because I hardly ever take a green outside, because I know there's many greens out there to paint, but I prefer to mix my own. But I could pre-mix those and then put them up here. So that would save me time. So by the time I get outside, I would be ready. However, when I'm painting is in November in Alabama. In November in Alabama, it's probably when they have their fall season. So I don't want to overload myself pre-mixing before I get there. So I'm going to load my palette with the as basic as I can stand it right here, and I'm going to practice that with for a couple of weeks, and then when I get there, if whatever I've adjusted, I will have had time to adjust that by then. Then I can see what colors I see out in nature that are present that I don't already have something similar to go from, and then I can mix those after I get there and put them down here. So there'll be a chunk of mixed paints that I used this palette to mix them up on, but then scooped them up and transferred them here. So that should save me time when I paint outside. So I hope that tip helps. The struggle's real getting organized. If any of this helped, please put a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm going to continue telling you things that are sharing with you things that have helped me, and organizing before a trip, limiting your palette, practicing ahead of time. I think that'll help. So I'll let you know after November if what I'm planning here actually came to fruition. I don't always fulfill what I intend, and I'm trying to do better with that. So let me know if you struggle with things, if there's something that you have a question about that I can do a video on, or send you a text back, hey, this is what I use, or this is what I do, and let me know. So thanks again for being here. Appreciate it, and keep painting. Be creative. Bye-bye. I have to laugh at myself. A few minutes ago I said I'm going to do 14 colors. Well, if you count, which I obviously don't know how to, there's 15 colors plus white. So I was being so careful at picking the colors that I want, and then when I went to put them in their little places in the sleeve, I went, oh, I have 15, not 14, so these two have to share a spot. I said, okay, well, we're going to try with these 15 plus white. And I do want to show you something that I did notice. I have I already have a variety of paint brands, and I've started some with student grade and then eventually get up to professional grade. And you could just cringe when you see the costs of some of the professional grade paints, and they're all based on the formulas that go in them as to how expensive they are. And I want to show you some evidence of what happens when you don't have the high grade paint. And just by tilting it up like this, do you see some of the run? All right, that just shows that those paints have more fillers, not as much pigment. And I need to be careful when I use this particular palette that when I travel with it, that I do keep it level, so that as paints are mixed, and especially on that lower portion of the palette, when I mix them and add them there, I don't want an accidental tilt to create a big mess. So I'll absorb some of the extra oil, and they do separate some, especially when you're not using them. So sometimes before I open if I realize when I first start to squeeze it out there's a lot of oil at the top, then I put the lid back on and I kind of give it a little massage to try to mix up some of that oil, and so it's not all coming separated when it comes out. Also, another tip is nutcrackers. Something like this is really handy to make sure that you can open your lids. So before you go on a trip, make sure you can open all the lids or have one of this with you just in case they get stuck between then and the time you paint. So, all right, quality of paint does count. We'll see how this selection goes. I will put in the show notes, because I know how to do that now, the colors that I've picked. Now, whether they end up the ones I take, we'll find out. But I have about a month to work on it, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks again. Okay, I had to come back because I just discovered something else. I am a klutz, and I thought that's not what I discovered. I discovered how to fix the mess I just made. I was working on the floor. I'd laid out all my paints. I'd checked them before I laid them out that they didn't have any goo on the back. Well, as I put them all up, I realized there was a turquoise spot and a yellow spot. I went, really didn't want to clean carpet today. But if you are not familiar with, I know you're familiar with wet ones, but if these, come on, focus right here. Hello, fresh scent. It's having a hard time focusing. Well, autofocus, come on, autofocus. Okay, well, whatever. Fresh scent, wet ones. There's something in the formula that really helps cut the oil that can be on your hands. I use it mainly for my hands, or if I accidentally get something on my clothes, I hit it with that. But today it was in the carpet, and it helped it quite a bit to start with. And then I realized, oh, I have brushes that I started cleaning this morning that has Murphy's oil soap in the bottom. I think it's Murphy's oil. It's Murphy's something. And if I go without cleaning my brushes really well, I just soak them just a little bit in this. You can even get dried paint out. Well, I had some soap down in here that I just scrubbed on the carpet. My carpet is made from recycled plastic bottles, so it's pretty much indestructible, except I don't really want stains in it. So I hit it with this Murphy's soap, and it just loosened up. And then I came back with a wet one, and then a paper towel, and lo and behold, clean. So I'll show you where the spot was. Oop, there it went. It's a little damp, but there was this yellow here and turquoise here. Ah, happy. Kind of a happy accident, but you know, you just have to learn from your mistakes, and I learn a lot. So, okay, maybe that's all for today. See you later. Bye.